can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Paul Kelly. This is our betting tips show for the big undisputed heavyweight title fight taking place this weekend at Wembley Stadium between, of course, Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois, the big rematch from a couple of years ago. Paul, good to be joined by you. Good to be joined by you for another betting tips show. Looking forward to seeing what you've got to say, and of course, we will see what happens on the night as well. We'll get straight into it as always. Paul, give us your betting tip for this massive fight, please.
Yeah, mate, thanks for having me. Looking forward to this one. I think it's definitely a closer fight this time than it was the first time around when we saw it. Obviously, Usyk ended up winning that fight via stoppage late on, and I'm going for very much of a similar fight here. Maybe it won't be as dominant from Usyk, who you could argue, bar that low blow and that whole contentious kind of thing there, won every single minute basically of the first fight. I think Dubois could be more dangerous early on and might even you know, might even hurt Usyk or wobble him momentarily or whatever it is. But I ultimately think that Usyk will get to Dubois and stop him again late in the fight. So I'm going to go for a second half of the fight stoppage for the great Ukrainian, which I'm seeing odds of almost 3-1. I think it was 13-5 or something for a stoppage in the second half of the fight, around 7-12. So yeah, that's quite appealing to me, to be honest. I think most people see this as a fight in Usyk's favour. I'd say Dubois will have more backers this time around than the first time, but ultimately I see it being very much of a repeat of the first fight with Usyk getting his hand raised and via stoppage in the second half.
Very interesting. Yeah, look, obviously, I think one difference here as well, it's Dubois had to travel to Poland last time out. Usyk's coming to London. I'm not saying that's going to kind of phase Usyk. But could it be a bit different? Dubois not going to away territory in regards to kind of like fight week events and could things maybe go a bit more Dubois' way? We shall see. Before I give my tip, Paul, just go over kind of like some of like the baseline odds that people might be interested in. Usyk points 2-1, Usyk stoppage evens, draw is 13-1. Don't know if you fancy that one. Dubois points is 12-1. So that seems unlikely. And Dubois KO is 4-1. So Dubois, one of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division, arguably the biggest at 4-1. Don't know if people fancy that. And yeah, my tip was actually mentioned there. My tip is for Oleksandr Usyk to win this fight via points at a price of 2-1. Tempted by Usyk stoppage, I'll be honest, but I just think Dubois is an improved fighter. He'll have a better engine. He'll be more prepared for fighting Usyk this time, so I don't know if Usyk will be able to get him out of there. And I just feel like Usyk is a fantastic fighter. He can clearly punch a bit, as we kind of saw, as we've seen over the years. But I think there comes a point in some of his fights where he's gets to round 8, round 9, round 10, and he's comfortably up on the scorecards, so chooses to basically, I don't want to say settle for a points victory, but doesn't go after the stoppage when he perhaps doesn't need to. But we'll see. If I could just get your thoughts on that and just kind of that as a price for 2-1 for Usyk to win on points.
Yeah, a few things to pick up there. I think it is a good price. If you're looking at his reign at heavyweight, Usyk, the vast majority of them have all gone the distance. Is Dubois the only stoppage, or did he stop Charles Witherspoon as well? So put it this way, he's got more decision victories at heavyweight than not. Like obviously both of the Fury ones and the Joshua ones, the Chisora one as well. Like so that he has gone the distance quite a lot and won every single time it has gone to the card. So I can see that being, I can completely see that. I think Dubois is an improved fighter as well. Another thing for Dubois is like he's fond memories of Wembley, doesn't he? The last time he was there, he was an underdog like he is for this fight, and everyone knows I'm a bit of an Anthony Joshua super fan, but he kind of battered him that night, really, didn't he? Dropped him 3 or 4 times and ended up finishing him in the fifth round. So yeah, I think he has fond memories of that. So that 4-1 that you mentioned for Dubois stoppage, if you're backing Daniel Dubois and you really believe that maybe Usyk's another year or two older and closing in on 40 and Dubois riding the crest of a wave, you'd be all over that 4-1 Dubois stoppage because I think that's the only way he can win this fight. Dubois is via stoppage.
Yeah, of course. And that was the situation 2 years ago. Dubois was never going to kind of outbox Usyk. It's not going to happen. So yeah, no, 4-1. 4-1 is definitely decent. A couple of questions from me, Paul. If you are correct and Usyk wins the fight in the second half wins the fight in the second half of the fight, are you expecting a similar fight to the first fight in the sense that Usyk doesn't really drop around and then just stops Dubois? Obviously, there was the low blow situation, which we've touched on before. We're not going to touch on now because we'll run out of time. But what do you see happening here? Do you see a more competitive fight where, on paper, Dubois actually wins more rounds than he did 2 years ago, or not so much?
Um, yes, I could see him winning maybe one or two, a couple of rounds, probably early on. I think he kind of has to be honest. And like, you never know. Like he might end up stopping Usyk early on, which sounds like a mad thing to say. But if he is going to do that, I think, well, sorry, if he is going to win, I think that'll be the way he does it, fairly early. But yeah, I'd say like fundamentally, skill wise, Usyk is just a better boxer than Dubois. He's a better boxer than everybody in the heavyweight division, so that's no disgrace. Um, and you're not gonna outbox him. Like it's just impossible, as you said. You're not gonna outbox him. Fury's tried and failed twice. Joshua tried and failed twice. Like everyone's failed, even down at cruiserweight as well. So I could see it being maybe more competitive. Say my tip is what second half of the fight. Let's say it's around the same time, around nine, around eight, around nine. See it maybe being a 6-2 or a 6-3 maybe in Usyk's favour. But I ultimately think there'll be no questions as to if he gets the stoppage, and I'm right that it's a second half of the fight stoppage, that he would have been ahead on the cards quite convincingly anyway. But I do believe Dubois will have maybe knocked up a couple of rounds at least.
Yeah, no, brilliant, Paul. No, looking forward to it. I think it's a more interesting fight than it was 2 years ago. You don't get fighters like Usyk coming to the UK too often. And it's a massive event, isn't it? Like the Wembley Stadium, it's one of the biggest fights to take place in the UK this year. Final question from me to you, Paul, just as kind of a bit of fun, seeing as you are going for a new six stoppage, if you were to put a fiver on a round, what would it be? What kind of round kind of springs to mind if you had to do some round betting?
What did I just said 8 or 9 there, didn't I? Yeah, so I'll go for eight. I'll go for eight to be a bit different from the first fight.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, first fight it was round nine, so I've got it could be round nine again. We'll see. But you're going for round eight, which would give you a price of 12-1, which is okay for a round. But it really, I feel like if you're going for a new six stoppage, I think anywhere from rounds 4 or 5 to 12, I would say it could be any one of those. If you're feeling lucky, maybe pick a round. I think just standout odds for me, rounds 10, 14-1, round 11 is 18-1. So if I was going for it, kind of one of those would really appeal to me. But we'll see. You got to be fairly ambitious to go. It's a good to win one of those bets. Paul, good to be joined by you always. Thank you for sharing your betting tips as always, and I'll speak to you again very soon.
Cheers, mate. All the best.